Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said, we will be aiming for further up than fourth in the Premier League next season. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was appointed as caretaker manager on the 19th of December last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 3 months as interim manager, obviously, he exceeded expectation levels, and obviously the results were good, and of course the performances and that were good. Obviously, we won our first 8 games, and in total we won 14 games out of 19. And then obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had got the job permanently on the 28th of March, and then obviously, we only won 2 games out of 10. So obviously, it had all gone wrong since he had currently got the job permanently and all that. But Solskjaer does believe, we will be aiming for further up than fourth in the Premier League next season and all that. But we do know so far this summer, we have spent around £65 million on 2 players. Daniel James we got, and of course Wan-Bissaka. But obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to want to build on this, and he's going to want to bring at least 2 or 3 more new additions to the squad. But I do believe now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priorities, will be to recommend an experienced centre half in, and he'll also, want to add the reinforcements in that midfield. And of course, Manchester United do need a right winner. But we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's worked out his transfer strategy for this summer. Obviously, he wants to recommend a number of young players to come in that can grow, develop and emulate superstars. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does believe that Alex Ferguson, transformed him, of course, into a winner and all that. But there is still lots to address in the squad. We do need to revitalise the squad. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has basically said, there has been a lot of speculation about players coming in, and of course, players going out. Solskjaer did say, we basically, don't need to sell players, but he also said, we don't need to overspend on our current transfer targets. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is very adamant that we haven't received any bids for our players, even though there has been quite a few of our players, relentlessly, linked to remove away from the club. Obviously, Paul Pogba has been relentlessly linked to remove away from the club. Lukaku has been relentlessly, linked to remove away from the club. And I do believe, we do need to sell players, to help us generate funds and, of course, rebuild the squad and all that. But these are so many targets on our current agenda. Obviously, there's still Bruno Fernandes' transfer target to Manchester United does continue to persist. Obviously, for the entirety of the summer, Bruno Fernandes being linked with a move to Manchester United. Obviously, the rumours are still continuing to persist about Harry Maguire from Leicester and all that, because we do need world-class central defender. But I initially said I think our expectations going on to this season probably will be to finish in the top 4, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't think we'll win the league this season. I don't think we'll be challenging for the league this season, because analysing our current squad at the moment isn't competitive enough. Obviously, it isn't good enough. And I did say, regardless of our current manager is, even if we had a manager in to the highest level, I still think, they would struggle with his current Manchester United squad, because it isn't potentially good enough at the moment. So we do need at least 2 or 3 more new additions in and all that, because like I said, it's potentially not competitive enough at the moment. And there is only just under 4 weeks remaining of this transfer window, so I do believe, we have currently, got to be more competitive and all that. And quite a few people said, look, we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. I do believe, we are moving away from the policy of signing them well-established players. But I do believe Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka have both got all the ingredients required to become huge successes at Manchester United. They did well on the debuts at the weekend against Perth Glory and all that. And they are both very, very young, and it's beneficial anyway, because obviously, Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka have obviously had experience of playing in England before, they did make the move to Manchester United and all that. But like I said, I do believe we need to sell players to help us generate funds and, of course, rebuild the squad. But I think in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations, will be that top 4, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Obviously, we've missed out, we didn't qualify for the Champions League, and I think it's going to be hard for us to attract players to elite level, because we're not in Champions League football. And obviously, Champions League football is always very pivotal when you do want to get your number 1 targets. And it's also going to be hard for us to convince our imperative players to stay at the football club. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is working on bringing the right players to Manchester United, who he thinks are going to elevate Manchester United forward, but he wants to keep his imperative players at the football club. Obviously, Paul Pogba wants to leave. Obviously, Romelu Lukaku wants to leave. But I do believe, based on the extortionate amount, we have put on both players, this could be the stumbling block of both players, supposedly, leaving Manchester United and all that. I want to give you the latest news as well about Paul Pogba, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoken about more about Paul Pogba's ambitions and all that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said basically he can rebuild Manchester United around Paul Pogba. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player he is, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said Paul Pogba does not need to leave Manchester United to fulfil his ambitions and all that. We're very, very adamant that Paul Pogba is not for sale. He did say would accept a bid in the region of around 150 or 160 million pounds. Obviously, more reports indicated out at the weekend that we allegedly risen up our asking price, and now reportedly says we want 180 million pounds for Paul Pogba, and that's obviously double than what we initially paid from Juventus, back in 2016 and all that. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still believes that Paul Pogba can become a huge success at Manchester United. Obviously, before he rejoined Manchester United, obviously, he did have 4 good years in Turin. He exceeded expectation levels and all that. And, he hasn't really replicated this, since he did make the return to Manchester United and all that. But even though Paul Pogba hasn't been the player as we all thought he would have been, I'd still say he's within the region of around, 150 million or even 160 million pounds, because he's 26, he's in his prime. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him and all that as Paul Pogba. And he's arguably, still one of the best midfielders in world football. But obviously, reports indicated out last month, I think it was last month, saying that Paul Pogba is seeking for a new challenge. He publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United, and he even did say at one point he was even willing to go on strike to force him to move away from the football club. While reading more reports at the weekend, it did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has considered that he has revealed that he has considered Paul Pogba for the captaincy at Manchester United next season, probably to try and convince him to remain at the football club, despite Paul Pogba's desire, to quit Manchester United and all that. I think we are set to open contract negotiations with Paul Pogba as well, as I was reading up yesterday. We'll try to get him a new contract again to try and convince him to remain at the football club and all that, because Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left in his current deal with an option to extend it by a further year, and he's of course on around 290 grand a week. But maybe the couple of main factors is why Paul Pogba wants to leave the football club, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, and he feels as though he isn't playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football, and maybe he wants to be winning stuff and all that, and maybe he's frustrated with lack of competitiveness at Manchester United. But like I did say, based on the extortionate amount we've put on him, this could mean he could end up staying at Manchester United. So we do know Paul Pogba's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. His transfer saga away from Manchester United does continue to persist, so he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. He's been linked to a move to Juventus. I do believe for quite some time Paul Pogba's first choice preference has been Real Madrid, and of course his likely destination has been Real Madrid. But obviously, Real Madrid are not willing to pay up to the 150 million pounds, of course. So basically, Real Madrid are not keen on a straight cash payment, because obviously Real Madrid themselves this summer have got 5 players on the board. Obviously, they spent over 300 odd million pounds, and we do know Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of Paul Pogba, and I believe Paul Pogba is keen on playing under Zinedine Zidane's guidance and all that. But Real Madrid, I think, are desperate, to include Gareth Bale in their bid to sign Paul Pogba and all that. And we do know with Bale, he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United for a number of years now, since since 2012, since 2013, and I think since that point, the rumours have continued to persist of Bale allegedly, coming to Manchester United and all that. Like I did say, I don't want Bale at Manchester United. Some people may have different opinions. They may think it will be beneficial for Manchester United. Obviously, Bale is one of the players that Real Madrid want to offload. I do believe they want to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to try and meet that 150 million pound valuation. But they do want to include Gareth Bale as part of the deal in their bid to currently sign Paul Pogba. With Gareth Bale, if you'd have asked me a couple of years ago, I probably would have took him at Manchester United and all that. Real Madrid are obviously going to find it difficult to offload him permanently, reflecting on his substantial wages. Obviously, Real Madrid did confirm at the end of last season that Gareth Bale is no longer in their plans, and Zinedine Zidane said that Gareth Bale has no future at Real Madrid, even though Gareth Bale's agent did say that his current client has got no intentions, of course, of leaving Real Madrid. But I've got concerns about Gareth Bale, that he's obviously injury prone. I think he's now 30 years of age, or nearly 30 years of age, and all that. But despite the fact that he's injury prone, his ratio's still very good. He's scored a lot of goals in his 6 years with Real Madrid. I think he scored 102 goals in 231 games, created 64 assists, so that's still quite impressive, despite the fact that he's injury prone. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, and obviously Manchester United are in search for a winner, but I do believe these better solutions are out there than him. Bale's still got 3 years left on his contract at Real Madrid. Don't currently forget, 3 years left on his contract. He has been at Real Madrid 6 years. Obviously, Real Madrid did pay £85 million for him from Tottenham back in 2013. So if Real Madrid wanted to offload him permanently, they would find it difficult to recoup the initial £85 million that they did pay for Bale. But yeah, he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United. So if Pogba does go to Real Madrid, Bale could, possibly be still part of the deal and all that. But yeah, so the actual fee, seems to be the stumbling block of Paul Pogba, make his proposed move away from Manchester United. Obviously, with Juventus, obviously they'd set their interest up at least in last 3 weeks or something like that. It did actually say on Friday of last week now that Pavel Nedved, who's the vice chairman of Juventus, he'd notified Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola that Juventus have ended their interest in Paul Pogba, because I know Juventus have held negotiations with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola, because Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola has been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club at least for the last 3 months or so. But I said more than likely Juventus would have to offload two of their players, at least two of their essential players, to fund the move for Paul Pogba, because I don't believe they'd be able to afford him outright. And as I said, Juventus are doing good business system. They got Ronaldo last summer. Obviously they got Aaron Ramsey. I think they got Adrian Rabiot. They're on the verge of getting Matty Delay. So Juventus, I don't think would be able to afford Paul Pogba outright. And the Juventus director recently spoke about how much Juventus love Paul Pogba, because like I said, he did have 4 good years and that in Turin. But like I said, he's being subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. He was subject to a lot of transfer speculation last year, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. Obviously, he had a really bad relationship with Jose Mourinho last year, and the couple of main factors why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho, even though he had that winning pedigree, is because obviously he had bad disputes with the board, he had bad disputes with the players. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, the board weren't back in the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend to come in and all that. But Paul Pogba, got one of his best wishes when Jose Mourinho, of course, departed the football club and all that. And like I said, we have seen glimpses of Paul Pogba's best form. We really saw it in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. That's when Paul Pogba was in absolutely scintillating form. He was scoring goals, he was providing, he was getting freed up and all that. But like I said, he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. But since Paul Pogba rejoined the club in 2016, he scored 31 goals in 135 games. And of course, he's won the Europa League with us and the League Cup. And obviously, that came in his second season there with Manchester United. But anyway, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, I still think it's in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to recommend 2 new additions in that current midfield. So we do know that Bruno, more additional information now is updated about Bruno Fernandes, with the situation with Paul Pogba, it's not having any effect at all of what about Bruno Fernandes, because I think Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is not dependent on, of course, what happens with Paul Pogba. So as I updated you about Bruno Fernandes yesterday, I give you a bit more additional information. Manchester United now are preparing to put around a £50 million bid in for Bruno Fernandes, and we actually are convinced this will be sufficient to actually convince Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon, to offload him. Sporting Lisbon have said they want somewhere in the region of around £70 million. We are reportedly only willing to pay around £50 million for his services. It did reportedly say we've made a contract offer according to the Mirror. Reportedly, we're willing to pay him around £5.5 million a year, which does equate to around £100,000 a week. But I was reading reports a couple of days ago, and it did say the Manchester United board have got concerns about us, spending over £50 million on a player that has got little experience to the highest level. And it reportedly said, that the board feels as though that he's too expensive and all that, because like I said, we're not intending on overspending and our current transfer targets. So it did basically say that Ed Woodward had said no to Bruno Fernandes. We do know Bruno Fernandes is one of our main priority targets, and like I said, for the entirety of the summer, Bruno Fernandes has been linked with move to Manchester United and all that. Also, Tottenham have been in for him. Obviously, Liverpool have inquired about his services and all that. He did actually report out last week saying that Manchester United held more extensive talks with Sporting Lisbon, because several talks have been going on for several weeks, between Manchester United and Sporting Lisbon. But we've made it blatantly clear we are only willing to pay up to £50 million for his current services. I do believe Bruno Fernandes wants to leave Sporting Lisbon. I do believe he's had negotiations with his agent, about a potential move to Manchester United. And I do believe Bruno Fernandes has notified his representatives he wants to join Manchester United. So Manchester United is his preference, and he's reportedly rejected Tottenham. He's also rejected Liverpool and all that. And reflecting back, was it 6 or 7 weeks ago, it's looking like the Manchester City were going to get a deal over the line for him. But obviously, it confirmed 7 or 8 weeks ago that City had currently withdrew their interest in the player. So Sporting Lisbon, haven't been quite reliable this summer, with regards to Bruno Fernandes and all that. But like I did say with Bruno Fernandes, he hasn't really got the experience of playing to the highest level. But I do believe if he comes to the Premier League, he'll exceed expectation levels. He will succeed. I do believe he's got all the attributes, to definitely come and succeed. He is primarily an attacking midfielder. He's only 24 years of age, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him as Bruno Fernandes. His initial release clause is around £88 million, but obviously Manchester United are not determined, to go anywhere near that current figure. He's still under contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. I do believe Bruno Fernandes signed his 5-year deal last summer, and all that. He signed his 5-year deal last summer, but Bruno Fernandes' president, Federico Varandas, he's basically said that, there has been negotiations, with Bruno Fernandes about his future and all that. So I think initially, he agreed to currently sell the player. Manchester United have held negotiations with his agent, because his agent was allegedly in the UK a couple of weeks ago to allegedly thrash out a deal with Manchester United. But it actually did say that we've reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon. It allegedly said, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, that the personal terms have been agreed and that the contracts have been agreed, but obviously no fee has yet been agreed between Manchester United and Sporting Lisbon. So actually, the fee seems to be the stumbling block at the moment of, Bruno Fernandes making his proposed move to Manchester United. So hopefully somewhere along the line, we can convince Sporting Lisbon, to offload him for around £50 million, because we're only willing to pay £50 million. I think the only way we would be willing to pay up to what Sporting Lisbon are demanding is if we could sell Paul Pogba and all that. Because if we do sell Paul Pogba, obviously we're going to generate over £100 million for his departure, and with the money we did, if we did sell him and the money we did generate from his departure, we could probably get around 2 or 3 players and all that. But the situation with Paul Pogba has got nothing to do with it's got no effect on Bruno Fernandes whatsoever of coming to Manchester United. But Bruno Fernandes can score goals, he can create chances, he can also create assists. So I do believe he would be the right solution for Manchester United. He has been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons. He scored 31 goals last season, or was it 32 in all competitions. Obviously spent the majority of his career in Italy, when he was younger, the likes of Sampdoria and Udinese and Novia and all that. But I do believe that midfield area is one of the pivotal areas, of course, where Manchester United and that, definitely need to strengthen up. That is definitely one of the pivotal areas. Some people say, that midfield and that right wing is more essential and recommended essential defending and all that. But you can still potentially, see the deficiencies in the squad. But since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, obviously, we saw Valencia leave the club after he served 10 years there with Manchester United. Obviously, we do know Valencia was a right back. Obviously, we did get our replacement for him, through Wan-Bissaka. And Herrera, of course, left on a free transfer. So obviously, we're going to need a replacement for him. And of course, Fellaini left back in the January transfer window. And obviously, we've got other midfielders. We've got the likes of Fred. I'm sceptical about Fred. I don't know if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. Fred hasn't lived up to expectation levels at Manchester United. I do believe we overpaid for him. Obviously, we paid £50 million for him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk, and to be fair, he was good at Shakhtar Donetsk, but he hasn't really replicated this form at Manchester United. So I'm still very sceptical if he is the long-term solution for Manchester United. Fred, we've got the likes of Matic, but Matic is too inconsistent, he's too slow, he's too ineffective. He isn't getting any younger, and Matic is aging up, and he's too slow. Like I said, you've got the likes of McTominay, and McTominay, yeah, he's going to get more opportunities. Definitely, going on into this season, which is very, very good. He's still inexperienced at the moment. He's McTominay, but we've got a busy pre-season, haven't we? In that asset, he's going to get more experience and all that. I think he's going to get more games anywhere. Going on into this season, which is very, very good. You've got the likes of Pereira and all that. So we definitely got to address that current midfield, as we all currently know. But definitely Paul Pogba believes. Obviously, we are currently going to need a replacement for him. So the transfer saga of Bruno Fernandes, does continue to currently persist. But like I said, there's been so many midfielders on our current agenda. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks going on about Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio and all that. He did report, there was a lot of reports as well. There was a lot of talks going on about that last week, saying that we are preparing to put around the £72 million bidding for him. I think this is going to be too insufficient for Lazio, because I think Lazio are looking for somewhere in the region around £90 million for him. Whether Manchester United are determined to pay this or not, I do not know. Maybe Milinkovic-Savic to Manchester United could be dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba, because it did allegedly say the other week that we're only willing to get a deal finalised for Milinkovic-Savic, of course, and if Paul Pogba does currently leave the football club. So obviously it did say we identified him as one of our priority targets, to replace Paul Pogba at Manchester United. Milinkovic-Savic's agent had allegedly travelled to the UK. I think he had travelled to the UK, was it the other week, to actually hold negotiations with Manchester United. So I do believe Manchester United have held talks with Lazio and all that. So he said this came from Sky in Italy. I think it also stemmed from Damasio saying that Manchester United are in for him, and he reported said, we put around £72 million bidding for him. We was preparing to put around £72 million bidding for him. Milinkovic-Savic is 24 years of age. which I think is primarily a central midfielder, I think, so he's mainly box to box. Of course, he's Serbian, and he has proven for the majority of his 4 years with Lazio that he can score goals, he can create chances. I think he's been inconsistent in the last, 5 to 6 months, but apart from that, I think he's exceeded expectation levels at Lazio. He has been there 4 years, obviously scored 31 goals in 138 games. I think last October he had signed a new deal, so he's in the contract with Lazio until 2023. But I presume he's good at breaking up the play, he's energetic and all that. He's Milinkovic savage. I don't think Lazio are in any desperate rush, to offload the player. Maybe they are keen on him, spending at least one more season with Lazio. Obviously Milinkovic Savic, will not be intending on spending the rest of his playing career with Lazio, but he could remain there at least for one more season. But he does say, Manchester United, of course, have been in for him. So do you think he would be, if Pogba was to leave, do you think, he would be a good adequate replacement? Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of talks going on about Saul Niguez as well, from Atletico Madrid. There was a lot of talks about him, going on a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, with Sean Longstaff, we've been linked with Sean Longstaff as well. I do believe, we are going to withdraw our interest in Sean Longstaff, because obviously, Newcastle recently indicated out that he's not for sale, and Newcastle do know how much of an imperative player he is to them. So, according to Newcastle, they believe that Sean Longstaff is committed to them. Obviously, it did say if they're willing, they've quoted that they want at least around £50 million. Newcastle, if they are willing to offload the player. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer instructed Manchester United to get a transfer prioritised for Sean Longstaff the other week. He did say from Sky Sports the other week that we've held high-level talks with Newcastle about Sean Longstaff, but it did confirm, we hadn't made any official bid for the player. It did actually say, we was preparing to put a bid in of around £30 million. Obviously, this is going to be too insufficient for Newcastle, because they want around £50 million. So potentially we only value him from between £18 to £20 million. So basically Newcastle are demanding more than double that and all that. So I think potentially, we could now withdraw our interest in the player, because I can't see Manchester United, willing to pay £50 million for Sean Longstaff and all that. But yeah, he has, currently been on our agenda and all that. He is only 21 years of age, plus he's British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talent to Manchester United and that this summer. I think he's primarily central midfielder, so mainly box to box. But Manchester United have held several talks with Newcastle, but Newcastle said they want at least around £50 million. But he's still inexperienced. He's got a bit of experience under his belt. He only made his senior debut for Newcastle in December of last year, and I think he thrived under Rafa Benitez guidance. He did put some good performances in, so he did well in the second half of last season. Did Sean Longstaff? He played well under Rafa Benitez guidance, and I thought initially we'd been given a boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff, following the departure of Rafael Benitez. But like I said, he didn't play the last couple of months of last season, due to a knee ligament injury. He had sustained back in March, and I still believe, he is recovering from this current injury. He actually began his career with Newcastle, so he is a product of their academy. Obviously, he also had loan spells with Kilmarnock and Blackpool, did Sean Longstaff. But I think now we could withdraw our interest, because I don't think, we are willing to pay £50 million, and obviously, we are not willing to overspend this summer, of course, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has currently confirmed. So yeah, there's still obviously talks going on about Sean Longstaff. But like I said, I think we do definitely need to sell players this summer. So I think, Darmian and Rojo definitely need to be sold. That's one thing guaranteed. With Darmian and Rojo, I think, we can generate around 25 or £30 million for their current departures, because Darmian and Rojo have both enjoyed difficult times at Manchester United. Darmian, because he hasn't really been given the chance, and obviously, Marcus Rojo's Manchester United career has been mainly affected, reflecting on the amount of injuries he has currently sustained. So yeah, we definitely need to currently sell players. With Sanchez, I do believe he's going to be remaining at the football club now for the entirety of the summer, or for the most of the summer. We have been trying to get rid of Alexis Sanchez, but the club have found it very difficult to offload him, reflecting on his substantial wages and that he's on. I think he's still injured at the moment. I haven't read up about Sanchez quite recently, but like I said, I think he's going to continue applying his trade with Manchester United going into the season. Maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes that Sanchez, can get back to his best and all that. I know he hasn't lived up to expectation levels. He's spoken about, I think, Alexis Sanchez's ambitions as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Solskjaer. But like I said, he hasn't exceeded expectation levels as yet. He's been here since January 2018, and obviously he hasn't been the player as well thought he would have been, because he did have 4 good years at Arsenal. He even played under Pep Guardiola's guidance when he was younger at Barcelona. Did Sanchez, but he just hasn't replicated any of this form at Manchester United. So he has been a huge disappointment and all that. But hopefully there is room for improvement. Hopefully going on to this season, Sanchez can improve, and I hope he can. To be quite honest with you. But I did say I wanted us to completely get rid of Sanchez, because like I said, his wages are on a bad effect on the football club. He's on 400 grand a week. Based on the image rights and the bonuses, it rises up to around 500 grand a week. So Sanchez is the highest paid player at the club. Obviously, he's the highest paid player in the Premier League and all that. But yeah, I think he will be now staying in the football club. Like I did say, Manchester United definitely need a central defender. Obviously, we need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. That's also very, very essential indeed. And there's been so many central defenders on our current agenda, because obviously, I don't think we've had a defence, to rebuild on, since we had the likes of Vidic, since we had the likes of Ferdinand, since we had the likes of Everton, Gary Neville. Since then, we haven't really had a defence, to currently rebuild on. But like I said, we need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. Obviously, last season we conceded 54 goals in the Premier League last season in 38 Premier League games, and that just shows the deficiencies, of course, that we have got defensively. So we haven't had a world-class central defender since we had the likes of Vidic, and of course, since we had the likes of Ferdinand and all that. I think we need at least one central defender. Some Manchester United fans believe, we need 2 central defenders and all that. But I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified, Harry Maguire as his number 1 defensive target. And I do believe that, Harry Maguire, could actually, be our third signing this summer. And I do believe if he can make the move to Manchester United, he will dramatically improve us defensively and all that. And I think Harry Maguire is a really, really good centre half. His distribution's good. He's really, really good in the air. He holds his line really, really well. He's not really fast, but I don't think, that's currently an issue. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now has identified him as his number 1 defensive target. Obviously, Harry Maguire has told Leicester, his Leicester teammates, he has told Brendan Rodgers, of course, that he does currently want to leave Leicester, and I think he's indicated out that he does want to go to a competitive elite level football club to obviously rejuvenate his career and, of course, take his footballing career to the next level. Leicester have basically said to Harry Maguire they will let him join Manchester United or Manchester City as long as us or City are willing to pay a world record fee for him. So Leicester are looking for somewhere in the excess of around £80 million at least. So Leicester want from between 80 to 90 million pounds. Obviously, this would make him the most expensive defender in world football, ahead of Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk, who of course Liverpool paid £75 million for back in January 2018 and all that. I won't put Harry Maguire in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, because I am going to be honest. I think Virgil van Dijk is regarded as the best central defender in the world, or is the best central defender in the world and all that. But I do believe Harry Maguire is still a very good central defender. I still think he's regarded as one of the best, of course, in the Premier League. But yeah, it's going to take a world record fee from Manchester United, to convince Leicester to offload him. And I do believe the valuation, seems to be the stumbling. Leicester's valuation, does seem to be the stumbling block this present time. Obviously, reports did indicate out at the weekend saying that allegedly Manchester United had agreed a world record fee of £80 million with Leicester. So he allegedly said we'd reached an agreement with Leicester. It reportedly said, we would be paying £60 million up front, with 20 million in add-ons, which does potentially rise up to £80 million. And he did allegedly say on Monday he was set to undergo Manchester United medical and all that. So obviously, there wasn't any credibility in what that, basically said and all that. But he allegedly said, we had reached an agreement with Leicester. Harry Maguire did say at the weekend as well that he was infuriated by Leicester, pricing him out of a move to Manchester United or Manchester City, because looking at ultimately, Leicester don't want to sell Harry Maguire, and this is the main factor reason why they've priced him out of the transfer market. This is why, of course, they are demanded an extortionate amount. It did allegedly say that Leicester, had found their replacement for Harry Maguire, because it said earlier on this week that Leicester had reportedly reached an agreement with Brighton of around £45 million for Lewis Dunk and all that. But Harry Maguire has confirmed, that he does currently want to leave Leicester and all that. So, obviously, Sky Sports did report out the other week. Obviously, we had put around a £70 million bidding for Harry Maguire. Obviously, this was too insufficient for Leicester, because obviously, Leicester are looking somewhere in the region of around 80 or £90 million. But, talks have been going on for several weeks, between Manchester United and Leicester. Also, Manchester City, of course, have held talks with Leicester. And obviously, reflecting back a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, should I say, or something like that, it was looking like the Manchester City were going to get a deal over the line for him. But, obviously, it said City City were going to give him around 280 grand a week. Said City were going to get him for a world record fee of £80 million. But obviously, City had currently withdrew their interest, based on, what Leicester are demanding, because City are not willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. I do believe they're willing to match what we're willing to pay for the player, but either Manchester United or Manchester City are not willing to pay a world record fee for Harry Maguire and all that. And obviously, City were seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany. But like I did currently say, I think it would be the right solution for Manchester United. I think actually, Mike Phelan is instructing Manchester United, to get a deal over the line for the player. Obviously, Mike Phelan, don't forget, had a short tenure at Hull, so he has managed Harry Maguire. So Harry Maguire, has played under Mike Phelan's guidance. I think it's Alex Ferguson, instructed, Manchester United to currently sign Harry Maguire and all that. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now has identified him as his number one defensive target. Harry Maguire is well Premier League proven. He's only 26 years of age, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. He has been at Leicester 2 seasons. He's made 76 appearances in all competitions. Obviously, 69 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. He signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer, so he's in the contract with them until 2023. Leicester did pay around £17 million for his services from Hull City and all that. I do believe he did feature in that friendly, was it yesterday as well, Harry Maguire, even though it didn't actually say, I think it actually said he wasn't going to be featuring in that friendly and all that. Obviously, based on his, move to Manchester United and all that. But actually, Harry Maguire's preference the other week was actually, a move to Manchester City and all that. But I do believe, we are currently in pole position to sign a player. I still believe we're holding talks now with Leicester over coming to an agreement on a fee, because I do believe, the fee, seems to be problematic at the moment. But I do think if we get Harry Maguire in, we are willing to offload one of our central defenders. I don't think it's going to be Victor Lindelof, even though there were reports quite recently linking him with a move to Barcelona. But I think Victor Lindelof himself has dismissed speculation of him, being linked to a move to Barcelona and all that. So I think one of the central defenders will offload if Harry Maguire, can come in. I think it will probably be Phil Jones, maybe Chris Smalling, maybe Alex Tuanzebe, maybe Marcus Rojo and all that. Because the likes of Smalling and Jones anyway are no longer good enough to represent Manchester United. Both players have been, very, very inconsistent. I think they have demonstrated over the years that they can play well, that they can hold the lines. But I do believe Smalling and Jones now are aging up and all that. And, like I said, it was bad business for Manchester United, giving them both new long-term contracts. And they've been 2 long-term players here. And I said with Rojo, like I said, we've got to currently sell him. With Alex Tuanzebe, obviously, he's the upcoming future and all that. So maybe Manchester United are willing to offload him as well. But we will offload one central defender if Harry Maguire does come in. Because I think we've got a lot of central defenders looking at it. I think we've got around, is it 5 or 6 or something like that. We've also got Eric Bailly as well. And some people still know how much of an imperative player that Eric Bailly is. I think Eric Bailly, he's got great potential. He's a good central defender, but I do believe his Manchester United career has been, badly affected. Reflecting on the, the amount of injuries sustained. I do believe his Manchester United career has been affected with the amount of injuries he sustained, and obviously with his fallout under managers initially has lost his place in the team, because Solskjaer, when he came in December of last year, his first choice, at the back was obviously mainly Smalling and Lindelof and all that. He did play Bailly a couple of times, but not many times. Obviously, we got him 3 years ago. Bailly, we paid around £30 million for his services from Villarreal. But like I did say, still lots to address in the squad. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes we will be aiming further up than 4th going on into this season. I think our expectations probably will be to finish 4th and all that. I don't think we'll win the league next season and all that. Like I said, because obviously City are strides ahead of us at the moment. Obviously, Liverpool and that are strides ahead of us, so they basically are still lots to be done. But I don't think we'll be challenging for the league next season. Our company winning the league, because analysing at the moment, our company squad isn't good enough. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is following Alex Ferguson's philosophy, and like I did say, he believes Alex Ferguson transformed him, of course, to win it. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got that pedigree as a player. Who's a great player under Alex Ferguson, for 11 years and all that. He has got a bit of experience as a manager, and all that. He proven himself in his first 3 months as interim manager at Manchester United. Obviously, he did win a couple of Norwegian titles with Molde. He hasn't really got the experience to the highest level, but obviously Solskjaer's at a club that he loves. He's at a club that he knows inside out and all that, and he knows the culture and the club. So hopefully, he can. I hope to say he's got the abilities and the stature, to get us in that commanding position. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to develop a squad of young players and all that. And analysing it, we've got quite a few upcoming players in our squad. We've got Mason Greenwood. Obviously, he's been assured more playing time, going on into this season. season and all that, which is very, very good. Obviously, you've got Diego Dalot, he's the upcoming future. So too Alex Tuanzebe. We've got Jimmy Garner. Who else have we got? We've got Chon, Angel Gomez. So we've got quite a few players there that are upcoming and all that. But this is the one thing I do like about pre-season, because we've got a busy pre-season. Obviously, it's gonna this pre-season is gonna give chance for the upcoming players to get a bit of experience and that under their belt. Which is very, very good news. Obviously we do play Leeds United today. Obviously, I did see my preview I did for that yesterday. Go currently check that out. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did give us a bit of team news. Going ahead into that game. Obviously, he did confirm on Monday, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that everybody trained, which is very, very good news. So everybody trained, no one missed training. So 24 outfield players trained, plus goalkeepers and all that. He has said Lee Grant is not fit, so I presume he will not be participating. Luke Shaw, obviously, but he doesn't know if he's going to be risking Luke Shaw, even though he was training on Monday. Luke Shaw, obviously, did sustain a hamstring injury against Perth Glory on the weekend, so he'd been assessed in the last couple of days, and it just obviously turned out that his injury was not too severe, which is very, very good news, because we do know how imperative Luke Shaw is. Obviously, Luke Shaw was very good last season. He won the Player of the Year last season. Reflecting on his impressive performances and all that. Obviously, I think Bailly, Lindelof, and Lukaku are also fit, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed. So Bailly, Lindelof, and Lukaku are set to make their first appearances on tour 2019, which is also very, very good news and all that. I do presume Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka will be featuring and all that. Hopefully, they can have another good game, because they did well against Perth Glory and that in the weekend. Obviously, with Fred and Darmian and Dean Henderson, obviously they're going to be linking up with the squad. When we do go to Singapore, and I do believe we go to Singapore sometime this week. Obviously, Fred and Darmian didn't travel to Australia, due to family reasons. I think Fred had got married, or is currently getting married. Not too sure what's happened with Darmian, but I think it's easy something to do with family reasons and all that. So they'll be like I said, they'll be linking up with the squad. They'll be linking up with the squad, when do go to Singapore this week. But it is a busy pre-season ahead, like I said. We've got Leeds coming up today, which is a 12 o'clock kickoff in the UK, as you all know. Obviously, then I think, obviously we do go to Singapore, we're playing some LAN. Obviously, then we play the likes of Tottenham. Then I think we also actually go to China, we play the likes of Christian Sund. We also play AC Milan. I think actually AC Milan is our last pre-season game and all that. But yeah, we have got a busy pre-season ahead. But Solskjaer, like I said, his current press conference, there's been a lot of speculation about players coming in, and of course players going out. But he says we haven't received any bids for our current players. He did give us some good news in regards to David De Gea. He's also set to make his first appearance on tour 2019. Obviously, he was an unused substitute against Perth Glory. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has basically said that David De Gea will be playing today, and he has indicated now that David De Gea is closer to signing a new deal with Manchester United. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has basically said it's up to David, and it's up to the club, when they want to announce his contract, if and when, and all that. But like I said, this is very, very good news, because we do know how imperative David De Gea is. Obviously, he has been here 8 years, so he has been a long servant here. He has made over 300 odd appearances for Manchester United in all competitions and all that. And we have been in talks of trying to get David De Gea a new contract for the least last 18 or 19 months. But for so long, we haven't, there hadn't been progression in contract negotiations, because obviously for a long, long time, the club were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands and all that. This is the main factor reason why we hadn't progressed in contract negotiations. But he did confirm a couple of weeks ago that there was a change of scenery, and now Manchester United are prepared to meet his current £350,000 a week wage demands. Obviously, this will make him the highest paid goalkeeper and that in world football. But he did say a couple of weeks ago that there was breakthrough in negotiations between David De Gea's agent George Mendes and the club and all that. And I think David De Gea is set to sign a new 5-year deal, which will take him under contract with Manchester United till 2024. Will probably take him to the age of 33 or 34 years of age, and he's going to it's a 5-year deal worth around 350 grand a week, and I do believe it over 5 years it is worth around 91 million pounds and all that. And David De Gea on his current deal at the moment he's on 200 grand a week, so he's going to get around 150,000 pound pay rise and all that. But yeah, very, very good goalkeeper. Potentially is the best goalkeeper in the world. Is David De Gea. Obviously, he's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. He's won everything here domestically. Reflecting on his impressive performances, he's won the club's player of the year 4 times times out of the last 6 years as David De Gea, as you all currently know. But at one point, it was looking likely, that David De Gea, was going to be leaving the club. Obviously he was linked with a £60 million move to PSG. Obviously PSG had stepped their interest up in David De Gea. Obviously, with Buffon, leaving PSG and all that. Obviously, Real Madrid had been long admired of him. Real Madrid were on the brink of getting him back in 2015, but due to a fax machine, of course, the deal never materialised. And I think also, Juventus were in there for him. And David De Gea hasn't really done much wrong in his 8-year period. I know he was not really good last season. He was making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season. But I do believe, that was mainly to do with the contractual situation. So, very, very good news there about De Gea. Solskjaer, says basically, he's, closer to signing a new deal, which is, very, very good, like I said. But like I said, I did say it was a problem at one point. We was letting far too many players' contracts run down. But I think we have resolved that problem. Last week, was it the other week, we gave Andres Pereira and Alex Tuanzebe new deals. Obviously, Rashford signed a new long-term contract the other week. Obviously, Juan Mata signed a new contract, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? Obviously, Martial got a new 5-year deal back in January and all that. So, yeah, we have addressed the contract problems and all that, which is very, very good news indeed. But yeah, that's also, very, very good news. As I've been updating you on a regular basis in regards to Romelu Lukaku and all that, we do know for the entirety of this summer, he has been linked to move to Inter Milan. And obviously, Lukaku has been, obviously, for the entirety of the summer, speaking about a move to Inter Milan. Because I think he has confirmed that he does want to leave Manchester United, Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, reports came out about this actually, last week, saying that, Lukaku wants to leave Manchester United. He did reportedly say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had held talks with Romelu Lukaku, pleading him to stay at the club for one more season and all that, pleading him to stay at the club for one more season, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say he's spoken to the vast majority of our players this summer, but I think Lukaku wants to leave the club because I think he's unhappy with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Lukaku, I think, believes he hasn't been treated right, in the last 6 months, because obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got recommended in, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Marcus Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku, and obviously Lukaku has increasingly become frustrated about this, but he has been relentlessly linked to a move to Inter Milan, and I think Lukaku's value, our value of what we are demanding for Lukaku, I think that seems to be the problematic for Inter Milan at the moment, because we've said we want around 75 or 80 million pounds, so basically we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton back in 2017, and I do believe we overpaid for Lukaku back in 2017 from Everton, because obviously Lukaku is our second most expensive signing and all that. Obviously, Inter Milan have tried to offload a couple of their players to help them generate funds to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. Obviously, more things had updated about yesterday. Sky Sports did report out saying that Inter Milan are preparing to put a new bidding for him. It did say reportedly they are preparing to put around the 60 million pound bidding for him, including add-ons and all that. Probably more than likely Manchester United will turn this offer down. Obviously, it did confirm last week that Inter Milan's sporting director had travelled to London to hold negotiations with Manchester United to thrash out a deal for Romelu Lukaku, but we do know anywhere talks have been going on for several weeks between Inter Milan and Manchester United. Obviously, Lukaku's agent Federico Pastorella has held quite a few talks over Inter Milan, and he actually did say, Lukaku's agent, that Inter Milan, of course, are desperate to currently sign him and all that. But initially, Inter Milan had made an initial 2-year loan offer worth around £9 million, with then the obligation to buy for around £60 million at the end of the loan. But again, Manchester United didn't entertain this offer, so we rejected it because we're only willing to let Lukaku go on a permanent deal. Don't currently forget. Obviously, it allegedly said the other month that Lukaku had agreed the personal terms with Inter Milan. It also said he had agreed the contracts, but obviously, no fee has yet, come to an agreement. And obviously, Antonio Conte has identified, Lukaku as his number one target. Obviously, when Antonio Conte was the manager of Chelsea at that point, he wanted Romelu Lukaku, but he obviously ended up making the move to Manchester United. But Lukaku is keen on playing under Antonio Conte's guidance, because maybe he believes he will flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance and all that. And he actually did say Antonio Conte well. He described him as one of the best managers in the world. But I think our valuation seems to be the stumbling block at the moment of Lukaku making his proposed move to Inter Milan. We're also unwilling to accept swap deals that Inter Milan have offered us, because obviously they've tried offering us Mario Cardi, they've also tried offering us Radja Goal, and I think they've also tried offering us Ivan Perisic, but again, it hasn't convinced Manchester United to currently offload him. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player he is, even though he has now initially lost his place in the team. Lukaku's been at the club 2 years. He scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions. Obviously, Scott was exceptional in his first season, but didn't really replicate that form, of course, in his second season and all that. Like I said, still got 3 years left on his current contract, but the rumours do continue to persist, linking Lukaku with a move to Inter Milan. He could actually now stay at Manchester United, Lukaku, based on the extortionate amount, we have currently put on him. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say he's unsure, if Romelu Lukaku, will leave Manchester United and all that. So he is actually, unsure about it at the moment. But obviously, he is aware of the speculation. But if Lukaku does leave the football club, obviously, we are definitely going to need a current replacement for him. That's also very, very essential indeed. But yeah, that's mainly everything to update with. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes we will be aiming for further up than fourth in the Premier League next season. Obviously, we need to see vast improvements going on into this season, because last season was disappointing. We finished 6th. We missed out on qualifying for the Champions League. We haven't won the Super in the past couple of seasons and all that. But like I said, a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the football club. Over the years. Since Alex Ferguson retired. We've had different managers with different philosophies. I know we have spent big in recent years on the likes of Pogba and Romelu Lukaku and all that. So quite a few people said we should be sensible with our recruitment. Some I think 18 million for Daniel James is very, very good, and that's a cheap solution compared to what we paid for the likes of Lukaku and Pogba. And Wan-Bissaka, I think 50 million pounds is reasonable for Wan-Bissaka, because I do believe he's going to be successful in that with Manchester United and all that. So like I said, we're not intending on overspending on our current transfer targets, as that's been blatantly made clear. So I'm going to watch the game today against Leeds. So I will be on later, to currently give my match reaction. Also keep you up to date of the transfer news and all that. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.